One of the Miss Michigans, and apparently there are more than one because there are varying contests, stripped of her title over social media posts. Kathy Zhu was sent an email by the World Pageant Organization, and they said, "You're out." She was accused of being a racist, Islamophobic, and insensitive. And we'll get more of the details of what she posted and why. But first, Tony Daunt is here, the executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Good morning, Michael Patrick.
Your weekly missive, which I would never miss, had an interesting article called about a Michigan bill that would ban viewpoint discrimination by Facebook and Google, and a somewhat related story. What was that all about?
Well, as we've seen and as you just laid out there, I think there is just an incredible amount of discrimination towards conservative viewpoint, and it really is it flies in the face of our free speech protections. And I understand that Facebook and Google and Twitter and all those, they're private companies, and so they within the law have certain rights to they're not the government, so they can discriminate however they feel against certain viewpoints to a point. Then you run afoul of other protections within the law. But it's not healthy for our society when people feel that they need to pull back from really quite standard opinions from the conservative point of view, or else they'll face they'll face ostracization. They could lose their job, and it's not fair. And it's very obvious when those companies, when they shut people down for a certain viewpoint, it always seems to be for folks on the right and not on the left.
Yeah, she feels, I think, that part of the reason she lost her crown and sash is because she's a Donald Trump supporter. That's part of it. There are a couple other posts that that maybe are uncomfortable to read, but they were definitely her experience and her opinion, and one of them seemed to be based in fact. But anyway, before we wade too far into that, I see that's why I never miss the Front Lines of Freedom missive that you send out every week. Is Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan going to be the new Hillary Clinton when it comes to deleting emails?
Well, that's an excellent question. The Detroit Free Press has done some really good work on what's going on with that burgeoning scandal there in Detroit related to a program called Make Your Date, a nonprofit that the mayor was involved personally with the doctor who runs that, and he instructed his staff, in particular Ryan Friedrichs, who happens to be the husband of our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. He runs the state or the city's development office, and he instructed them to do what they can to help raise money for that program. And it's an inappropriate use of city dollars, of tax dollars, to have them raising money for a nonprofit like that. And then when the Detroit Free Press submitted a FOIA to get to the bottom of this, somebody, and we still do not know who, within that office, within the development office, told people that they should delete emails related to this. I mean, that's an incredible scandal right there in itself. When you receive a FOIA, you're supposed to protect those emails and submit them and turn them over, not delete them. And again, we do not know who demanded or who requested and at whose suggestion those were deleted. And so we've been asking people, we need to know who that is, because that's a pretty big deal. And, I don't know if it rises to the level of Hillary Clinton, unless he had a server that he bashed out in his backyard. But, we really want to know what's going on there.
Greg McNeely wrote an opinion piece in the Detroit News there that 75% of the state voters don't like the governor's idea of a 45-cent per gallon gas tax. And oh, by the way, a lot of the money being raised by the taxes that are charged at the pump right now are going to things other than the roads, including the school aid fund. The idea is to fix the roads and fund the teacher pensions, which apparently are in peril right now as well.
Well, and absolutely, and I would contend that if you polled again, you probably find even higher numbers that are opposed to the governor's gas tax proposal. As he laid out in his column, not a single Democrat has even offered up a bill that would make her plan a reality. And you are correct, and Greg pointed out in his column as well that a large chunk of the money that we pay at the pump because it's sales tax goes towards other issues that are not roads. It goes to the school aid fund. And so, one interesting proposal that's out there, put out by the West Michigan Policy Forum, and business leaders over there from the west side of the state who have a very key outlook on how debt negatively impacts the state's bottom line. And if we were to bond for a portion of that, say $10 billion of that, put that money directly into the pensions, increases the assets immediately, and then frees up that cash as a side benefit, frees up the cash that we are paying at the pump that goes to the school aid fund. We can put that money into roads. And then, as a final benefit, we've set an obligation that future legislatures and governors are required to pay down that debt. Right now, if we were to keep on the current path, that debt of the teacher pension fund would be paid off around 2038. But that assumes that future legislatures and future governors will be fiscally responsible in the fashion that legislatures and the governor of the last 8 years have been.
That's why we check in with Tony Daunt at the Michigan Freedom Fund, and you can too.